the discussion, MNsure, the quintessential question when a big shot's resignation is forced. Deserved, or the classic case of really this is the scapegoat and folks above this individual are just as rippable or more rippable, but they're not going to fire themselves, so somebody's got to go.
Well, I was getting hammered on Twitter over this yesterday. The executive director of MNsure, April Todd Malmlove, resigned under pressure. Now, no big deal. She took an 8-day Costa Rican vacation as the website was melting down on MNsure. And people seem to take issue with that. What's the big deal? Going on vacation just a few weeks before the deadline. Here's one of the problems. People can't get through. Their applications are getting rejected, spit out. They're on hold for an hour, and then they get cut off. There's all sorts of things happening. Next Tuesday is the deadline. If you want insurance coverage by January 1st, you have to be signed up by next Tuesday. And a lot of people can't do it. So, yes, was this political? Yes, it was. So is it politically tone deaf? Yes, I'd say it is, that she did not understand that you can't do this kind of thing, particularly where we're seeing this at other places around the country. But did everybody know about this? I think they did. Governor Dayton knew in advance. The MNsure board knew in advance, and everybody said, sure, go ahead. And then this is what happens. So do I understand this correctly, that there's some discussion about perhaps delaying the deadline? Where are we in that regard? Here is what's going on. Because this deadline is approaching so quickly and to a point where people are not able to get on the website because of glitches, there may be thousands of little glitches that have to be manually repaired. Because people can't get on the website, it doesn't seem that fair to penalize them for not having insurance, doesn't it? I mean, what if they can't sign up because of website problems? So MNsure, they haven't done this yet, but MNsure is now considering extending the deadline, which is the 23rd of December, to the end of the month in order to get as many people in the tent as they possibly can. So that's happening, and that's real stuff. That's real information. If you've tried to get through, and I've heard from many, many, many people who have not been able to get through, they got to keep trying because they're trying to fix it. I got an email earlier today in preparation for your visit with us. Right, because you prepare very carefully. Well, occasionally. I thought this letter raised an important point. He's writing from Egan, is T.S. And he writes, recent events have shed light on MNsure, with the head being forced to resign due to that trip. Apparently, during and leading up to her vacation, the MNsure website was performing poorly. Customer service was not helpful. And there were many other problems experienced by potential users. Here's his question for you. Why is this the first we're hearing about this? All through November, we were being told that the federal website was a disaster, but if you were one of the lucky ones living here with their own exchange in Minnesota, everything was good. Well, apparently everything was not good. Is that a fair point? I mean, it absolutely is a fair point. Here is what, as I understand it, here is what's going on. These problems began to mount and they multiplied, they escalated in late November. We didn't seem to, there were, people couldn't get through. There were minor glitches, there were technical issues, things that people were having trouble with, and then they were getting resolved. I would call people, I was contacted all the time by people, and then it was being resolved. Suddenly, and it was very odd to me, suddenly around December 1st, 2nd, 3rd, right around that time, after Thanksgiving, we suddenly, at WCCO, were inundated, flooded with literally hundreds of people calling to say, I can't get on, this is crazy. And here is where the disconnect is for me. So we go to MNsure, and I'll just say it, I think they lied to us. I think that they misled us, they misdirected, they camouflaged. They said, no, there's no problems, no, there's no problems. When, in fact, behind the scenes, they were sweating bullets because they couldn't fix the problems. So I think there is a dividing line. There were problems that we saw, problems that we think were fixed, but I think he makes a very good point because I believe that this is one of the most closed, obtuse, misdirecting, camouflaging agencies I have ever dealt with. And it's remarkable.
Well, which
gibberish
I
is
think,
what I got from them.
Well, which I think, again, raises the point of if you can put all of this on her, that basically this looks like this is a pretty significant issue across the board. You mentioned that the trip was approved. No one was shocked that she was on this trip. So when I hear even the governor now say this is this is inexcusable, what's going on in this website, et cetera, now I'll go, okay, well that sounds good, but so do we have the wrong? Is this in the category of, well, it's just this is a whole new project and it's unavoidable to a certain degree, or is this under the category of, well, no, there's some significant leadership breakdowns across the board on the monitoring of what exactly of the progress of this and in terms of what was actually going on?
Well, a couple of things about that. There is a legislative oversight committee that is not really doing oversight. They are supposed to be meeting on a regular basis in order to monitor these things and get reports, and they haven't done that. Number two, the executive director who just resigned is someone who had complete control over almost everything, including information flow. And so she either did not know or did not do enough and move quickly enough when these problems all of a sudden started to arise to fix them. And again, it's easy now to look back and say maybe it was happening in June. We didn't have that evidence. And even to this day, we don't know how bad these problems are. I will say that they told us there were no problems as late as December 6th. As we were making inquiries about this. And today, for the first time, the new MNsure CEO admitted that there were problems, and he apologized. First time ever. So there's a lot of frustration with people trying to sign up, and frustration in trying to cover this thing also, because we just don't know how bad the problem is, and maybe it's terrible, and maybe it's just kind of bad. We don't know.
Do we know who appointed her to this position?
Well, she was hired by the MNsure Board of Directors, right, which was appointed by Governor Mark Dayton. Right. So there is connections all over the place. Right now, we've had a lot of critics, and Republicans in particular, and on some of this stuff they're right, and on some of this stuff I think there were delaying tactics to try to stop this from happening. And this had about 4.5 months. It's the other side of the story, that people tried to stop this, to kill it, and it didn't get the kickoff that they hoped it would get. So there's a lot of moving parts to this, and I don't know where it goes from here, but they got a new guy coming in, and by the way, they're having software problems now, and IBM is parachuting in as many as 92 people to manually fix some of these things. So good luck with that, huh? What could possibly go wrong?
Well, I'm sure you'll be all over that tonight on 4.
Yeah, we are. It's a big deal.
So we'll be watching that. We'll get to FOMO next week, because I know you got to get moving.
No, we're going to talk to him in the new year. It's 2014.
Oh, that's right.
Well, I'll be calling Dan.
That's
I think
right.
what I'm going to do.
This is emotional.
Yeah, it's very. This has been a great year.
I think it's been a solid year.
And I don't want to give it up quite yet. So on Christmas Eve, Christmas night, I'm just going to give you a call.
You know my number.
And we'll talk about it.
You can call anytime.
All right.
Thank you. Pat Kessler, Channel 4 political reporter. We got some breaking Minnesota Wild news to get to. Not so good when we come back.
This is Barreiro on the Fan.